Hi, I'm Dr. Doreen Downing, and this is your Find Your Voice, Change Your Life podcast series, where I interview people who have some sort of early life experience that in some way stopped them from being more truly who they are, holding themselves back. Their voice was unrecognized, unheard in such a way that they didn't know they had a voice. So somewhere along the line, this is what we're looking at today, is people finding their voice. And when they find their voice, there's so much more what energy, aliveness, and purpose and effect, impact on the world. So today I have Lee Glickstein, my friend, my mentor, my training partner for over 20 years. And I'd like to interview you, Lee, and ask more about the details of your early life experience and how you think that that really played a part in you feeling like you couldn't be heard. So thank you for being here and for your willingness to share today, Lee.
Thanks for asking me, Doreen. My pleasure.
So let's start there. Uh, you had some kind of anxiety, I imagine, because you developed a whole program around Speaking Circles International, which is definitely well received in this world as a place to learn how to tap into the voice. So, but you didn't have it in the beginning. What happened?
By the way, I still have the anxiety. Look at my nails. But I don't have anxiety around speaking. Although I had the world's worst stage fright till I was in my late 40s. And I trace it back to, as you say, childhood. I was born the youngest of two children into a house where there was not much listening going on. But that's how I see it now. I wasn't seen. I wasn't really appreciated. And it was not a happy place to find my voice. And anytime I did try to use my voice, I could get squelched by a bullying older brother or glared at by a father who didn't want to be bothered. So I grew up without having a capacity to speak up. I was bottled up, and I just became this very sweet, nice bowl of chubby boy.
I know we're laughing because it's a distant memory and you have so far recovered, but it can be painful to be in a family that doesn't welcome us, welcome the spirit of who we truly are, doesn't see us, doesn't say, yay, you, and
Yeah.
give space to be you. And the whole idea about being bullying, I hear that a lot from people, but to have it be right there in the next room with your brother in the same household bullying you, oh my gosh.
I mean, he was there to mess me up. I mean, that was his job. I could laugh about it now because he did a good job because it lasted for quite a while. That I didn't have the sense of knowing of having a voice. That sort of comes down to when you don't get listened, you don't have a voice.
Yes, I think there's something about being received, being heard that makes you feel like, oh yes, my voice. I feel it because then it's the whole idea, I think, of speaking circle, that somebody's listening and you speak into their listening, which is what you devised was what we call speaking circles.
Yeah, what I had to do when I realized that I needed to work on this, I was in my 40s and I was just not being able to function in the world. I knew I had something to say, I didn't know what it was. And I really got stage fright speaking to any one person, like looking right now into your eyes. I wouldn't be able to do that, even on Zoom.
Mhm.
But so what I needed to do I realized was to create something because I noticed so many other people had this public speaking anxiety, this stage fright, this deer in the headlights. And what I needed to do was to make it was to ask my listener to do something, to listen.
Oh,
So I created what became speaking circles, where I would ask the audience if it was, it could have been 6, 7 people, everybody just be with me, be with the person up front with soft, steady gaze of kind regard. That's what the instruction was. And that the instruction for the person up front, whether it be for a minute or 3 minutes or 5 minutes, is to put your entire priority on noticing the listening. And, I used to think that my block in speaking was that I didn't know how to speak. I was a block in speaking, but it was a block in receiving the available listening, I realized in my late 40s. So I began to train audiences to listen in a way that a person like me, I didn't know it was going to be me because it took me 5 years of helping other people through it before I subjected myself to it. I was that far gone. But the idea being that you get up in front of the room and all you do is you be with one person at a time into their kind regard, their gaze of kind regard. So all you're getting is a look of, it's okay, it's okay. People aren't going, They're not responding to the content. We never respond to the content. And discovered that with a 1 minute and a 3 minute and a 5 minute turn in this practice, we begin to trust the listening when it's there. And then ultimately learn how to go into a new audience and allow the listening by being there for it. I'm here, and then not everybody kicks in. But if I look at somebody in an audience and somebody's giving me what looks like a dirty look, I don't take it seriously. I don't know. They might be thinking about their own brother. I don't know. But the point being that I can get the listening if I stand there and receive it. So public speaking becomes a matter of public listening is how I solved it and how I solved it.
Wow, that is so different than most any public speaking training programs out there. This is, and I've been a recipient of it, and it's what changed my whole relationship to speaking, is learning that it's about generating a listening in the people who are listening to you. And it's, but you first have to have a safe place to have listeners who aren't trying to judge you or to do something that's might be negative. If we just have a judgment-free zone and have these, what you call speaking circles, and stand in there and just be receiving luxurious, full on, undivided, positive, appreciative listening. Wow.
Beautifully put, Doreen. Thank you.
Yeah, well, I think it's magic, and I think that it's beyond magic. I think if people put in wires on our heads and measured it, we would see that it's so transformational to be turning speaking upside down and having ourselves be not the biggest speaker in the room, but the biggest listener.
The listening leader. You're leading the listening.
Ooh, I like that.
I think many of us know there's not enough good listening in the world,
Yes.
and that we have to support the listening in order to allow the intelligence to come through people's voices.
Yeah. Well, tell me more, just what's going on currently with you and what you're offering.
Well, a year ago, I had to figure out how to do this on Zoom.
Yes.
And I thought I was just creating something, for a few months till we got back to not social distancing. But so it seemed like there would be a way to do it by Zoom, but it required some ingenuity, some innovation. And within a few months, me and and the other people who were doing this, we found a way to create a speaking circle on a virtual platform that works just about as well as live. In fact, I'm not sure I want to go back to schlepping my camera equipment around and doing speaking circles in businesses and homes when I could stay home and do it internationally. I had the speaking circle with somebody in South Africa and somebody in India and someone in Vermont and a few of us in California. And we've learned how to use the Zoom room to listen by calling names during our turn. So if it's my turn and I'm speaking to someone who's looking at me on the screen, and after 15 or 20 seconds, I say, "So Doreen," And I look at Doreen, and Doreen hears her name, and she looks in the camera.
Mm.
And now I'm speaking to Doreen for 15 or 20, just like in an in-person circle, we wouldn't spend more than 15 or 20 seconds with a person. And here, and then I'll say, so John, and then I look at John on the screen, and John is in the camera, looking at the camera. So I have John, bye John. So Doreen, what I have is a full turn being with eyes every step of the way. And as we started doing this, we thought, well, of course, you're not really looking at the person when you go into the camera.
Yeah.
So it's sort of weak, right?
Mm.
But then what we discovered was that you can look into the camera in a diffuse, loving way and sense the connection. It's like imagining you're on the phone with somebody, and people do great therapy on the phone. No problem. They're present. And here it's like you're on the phone, you're listening to them on the phone, and they have your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And they're seeing your eyes. So it's telephone plus.
Yes. And what I get is that the person who is giving the eyes and looking at the camera lens, there's a way of dropping down into the sense of them being really present in the moment. That's what I hear you saying, that that even giving your eyes to a lens, even though you aren't eye to eye with the person, helps train you to drop down, be present.
Yes, it's very intimate. And in some ways, it's more intimate than an in-person circle. Some people have said because of the screen, the distance, that you're not in the same room, there's less of that, in the flesh pressure.
I think what you're saying, when we're face to face, there's might be some wires in our brain that our animal brain goes, ooh, we're really close, flesh and flesh. But even as you spoke, I really got, and maybe we can say this to the folks who are listening, that when you dropped down, I felt myself also drop down. Yes. So that your tone, you talked about listening and leading. It's like, in a way, your speaking, it leads people to a deeper sense of who they really are.
Right. When you're speaking from this place, first of all, because I'm going down here another level because we're talking about it. When I'm speaking from down here, my belly, the words are so much easier coming out. Yeah. I almost feel the melody of them. This is what magnetism is, so it feels good, and I'm clearer because I'm not falling over myself trying to get something out like we do in normal conversation, often in normal communication. And then, yeah, you're right. As people hear this from the person who's running, who's facilitating, and then other people are going down there. And new people who come usually go at the end. Wait for like there's a newcomer at the end. By the time they go, they can't help but be down here too, because the whole room is in a field of listening and clarity and no rushing.
Mm. Sounds so beautiful. So how do people find you?
Well, they email Lee at speakingcircles.com.
Lee at speakingcircles.com. If they want to find their voice in such a way and learn how to drop down and find the strength, the inner strength to show up fully in any environment, whether it's a work or relationship, expressing yourself, your authentic, loving self to somebody, perhaps. So it's not just public speaking. We're every moment we're on the stage called life.
So yes, it applies to everything, all communication in life. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah, wonderful. Well, I feel refreshed just talking to you. Thank you. Thank you, Lee.
Thank you, Doreen. Appreciate it.
Yeah.